Much professionalism, everyone. Hello, welcome to the political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Unless it's on Spotify, you won't hear the claps. Pretend I clapped. Yeah, no, I edit some things. Who'd have believed it? I do actually do stuff to this
I cannot
afterwards.
believe that.
I know, right? Yeah. I still can't balance our audio though. Joining me as always to discuss a number of topics. The more obvious one being the title of the stream. Is my delicious, scrumptious, yummy, yum co-host, TrupsLP. Say hello,
Hi.
TrupsLP.
Hello, TrupsLP.
How is TrupsLP?
I'm alive. I am coughing a bit. It's not
Oh
coof.
no. I had to do 2 COVID tests. Well, one of them on one of my nieces, and the other one was done when I wasn't in the room, and I wish I was. I'm the worst person
Right.
to ask to do this, because I don't want to do it, but I will hold you still. If you try and wriggle, you're not moving. And I'm not nice about it. I've never had to do a lateral flow either, so I feel like I'm the wrong person to do them in the first place. But
I don't know if I'm familiar with that, but okay.
the one up the nose,
Oh.
lateral
Oh,
flow.
there's a fancy word for that.
Yeah, lateral flow. I've never
Okay,
had to do
well, I
one.
guess they had to make it a fancy word, otherwise people might look at you
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. I mean, cotton swab up no bunghole, what nose even. I don't care. Bunghole, I think it's the bottom. No, up the nose.
It is.
I yeah.
I was gonna
You know
say,
what?
don't put that
Cotton.
up there.
You know, put it up there if you want. If you want to do a COVID test, this is
Yeah,
100% medical advice from 2 medical professionals.
I
Yes.
did not say that. For
Disclaimer.
once, he
This
made the
might be a
spicy take.
yeah. Disclaimer. That might be a joke. um, how's the week been?
Clarification. It is. You're
It's a
fine.
joke. How's your week been
Just
anyway?
making sure. Um. Oh, my weekend. It's been all right. It's been all
Yeah.
right. Obviously we're working every day. I did have Martin Luther King Day off, so
Oh,
that was
you
all
told me
right.
about that last week. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I had today off, which made it very strange. I don't know what day it is anymore.
I kind of get that from
It's
time to time. If I
it's a
don't,
miracle that I remembered that I had this today.
if I take time off, I'm really thrown out of loop, as it were. Like I have things
Uh-huh.
the way I like to do things. Like tomorrow's the day where I normally don't do anything YouTube related.
Mhm.
So I'll be doing stuff maybe. Um,
Right.
if I was doing stuff tomorrow, I'd be really confused beyond the morning work I normally do at the pub. That's about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you start breaking the routine,
Mm.
things just kind of like I don't know. It doesn't make sense anymore.
I tend to agree with you on that. It's a
Yeah,
bit of a hassle.
yeah. I mean it's fine
Hmm.
in the end. Like you can work it out, but it is jarring.
Agreed.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, all is good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd say so.
that's fantastic.
You might be excited to know this. I did try to upgrade my computer this week. I was investigating. Um, so unfortunately, what that meant was that I paid well above MSRP for a new graphics card. Um,
They're a
that
bit
should be
hard to get at the
coming.
moment, aren't they? Though.
They suck. But I am rocking a Nvidia POS.
Oh.
Yeah. So it sucks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, POS gave
Um,
it away.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a 1060. It's not great. It's
It's
two generations
yeah.
behind,
It's
and
it's well, it's where I sit at the moment. It's 2 generations. Yeah, I sit on 20. I don't know 60. I don't know what it is.
2060. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's basically it's the price sensitive versions. They are obviously a lot lesser than your 1080s, 2080s, 3080s,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
obviously the TIs, but they're the ones that are
Oh, mine's a TI.
accessible.
Mine's a TI.
Okay. But they're the ones that are accessible to people that don't have, extreme amounts of exploitable income at the moment. But hopefully, once I get that, it's a huge upgrade from what I have right now, so I can actually. 'Cause I was taking inventory of what I needed to start, like actually streaming with
Oh yeah.
some gusto,
Well, decent
and that
graphics would
that was
certainly
part of it.
help.
Yeah. So that's part of it.
I'm glad that things are working out in that department. I know graphics cards are exceptionally hard to get hold of at the moment. I had
They are
considered upgrading mine, but I hadn't really looked at the options and what was compatible because I couldn't be asked. Mostly,
I understand.
I'm just too lazy. So on my week, I didn't make a video on Monday. That's why today's This Week at Twitter, which came out only about less than an hour ago. Is quite long to make up for Monday's lack of video. I Because it was my birthday on Saturday, I used the money I got from donations. Thank you to everyone that did that. I bought myself a full-size Nintendo Switch. I have a Lite, which I've had for a couple of years, but I needed a bigger screen, and I haven't played Assassin's Creed on it yet. But I also got Pokemon Diamond, like you told me to.
Yes.
Got that. I've been playing that. It's a bit disorienting to go back from Shield to that. But since I had to transfer everything onto the bigger one, and it didn't take any of my save data, which is really irritating because I forgot to back it up to cloud. Yes, I'm a genius. It's been interesting to play Diamond. Actually, I'm quite enjoying it because it reminds me of the old style. My sister randomly gave me some Pokemon card packs. I opened it and found a card in there worth £250.
Wow.
A Charizard
amazing.
VMAX. And
Nice.
I put it straight on eBay. I told my sister, and she's like, "Can you make money on that?" And I'm like, "Yes." My other sister's like, "I got old Pokemon cards. If I go through those and find something worth money, can I?" Yeah, your cards, sell them.
Yeah, they're yours.
Hers had dark cards before dark Pokemon existed.
I had dark cards. I still have dark cards, but the problem is I'm a hoarder.
Yeah, so's my sister.
Well, it's not that.
Plural.
It's that anything that has any kind of sentimental value, I have a hard time parting with.
I get that. I mean, this Charizard card, if it doesn't sell, I'll just stick it in a safe place for the time being. I'm sure in the future it might be worth
put it in a case and put it up on the wall or something.
Absolutely. I've got a glass cabinet. I could put it in there. If it doesn't go, that's all good. Beyond that, I just made videos and went to the gym. That's about it, really.
Nice.
Oh, I got my check mark on my main channel. I had to apply for that.
Oh yeah.
So officially,
how does that work exactly?
So,
you tell me afterwards.
I'll tell you afterwards. Okay, so I want to start this stream with something I never thought I would ever say in my life. I agree with Tariq Nasheed.
Oh.
I will quote his tweet. Non-citizens should not be able to vote in the US. Discuss.
Yes, I have been saying this for literally a year.
And why have you been saying this? Why? Hang on, before you say that, actually. I find it really interesting that there was a meme going around of it's something to do with New York, and it was like we don't want 2016 foreigners, i.e. Russians, colluded and tampered with our election. 2020 New York, but we will happily allow non-US citizens to vote in our elections.
Precisely.
Carry on.
Well, you see, what you have is you have people who are forced to now accept the fact that they can, but it shows a level of hypocrisy. You cannot simultaneously say that you disagree with foreign interference in elections, but agree with non-citizens voting in your election. There is simply no way to do that and have both be true.
Yeah.
Because while the green card holders and people with work visas do reside here, for years, they are not citizens. They owe no allegiance to this country. And so to grant them the ability to vote on policies would give them undue power to affect how our policies may affect those individuals.
Yeah.
For example, obviously, the one that is the most crucial to discuss is I almost said DARPA, but that's something else. It's the kids who come over. I forget what they're called, but they have a name for them.
International exchange students.
No. They're like they have a certain like acronym assigned to them.
Oh,
but anyway, they're kids of immigrants that basically get to stay here. Dreamers. Thank you.
Dreamers.
there was a dream, like an act that basically allowed for it's basically kids to be able to be allowed to illegally immigrate, um, um, and they got to get status.
Yeah. Okay.
And basically, so what you end up giving, right, is those people, you can actually affect policy. So if, for example, the Republicans, if Republicans wanted to, say, revoke that act,
Yeah.
but they could vote on, like, the Dreamers themselves. Actually, let's not use them because they do have citizenship. If illegal immigrants could vote on that policy, then they could influence then whether or not more of the people were going to be allowed to come through and gain citizenship in that way. Basically, allowing other people who don't have an actual say in the institutions, in the actual the health of the country itself. You don't have an interest in that because you don't have a citizenship. You have no assorted loyalty to it. Um, Having them vote on policies that could negatively impact the country it spells disaster.
Yeah.
And most people would agree with that. A lot, some people will make the analogy of, like, if you unlock your door and you let folks in and they
Hmm.
get to vote on how the stuff inside your house is used, and they invite more people in, well, suddenly you, the owner of the house, are outvoted.
There's a question in the YouTube chat for you from Chaos. So, what do you think about citizens living abroad? Where should they vote? As Chaos is one,
Citizens,
Chaos is curious as to your position.
citizens should vote where their citizenship lies.
So, if they don't live in the country
Mhm.
the country they are citizen of, they should still be
Correct.
able to vote in that country.
Yes, because if you're a citizen living abroad,
Your vote matters.
yeah, your vote matters still. But if you're if you're from New Zealand, I'm assuming based on your comments in the chat,
Hmm.
and let's say you're living in America, but you're not a citizen of America, then you vote in New Zealand. If you want to vote in America and you foresee yourself living in America for the foreseeable future, change your citizenship.
Hmm.
There's no reason to be a citizen living abroad, for, let's just say, 40 plus years in another country and never become a citizen. I mean, at that point, you've moved.
So, the handy thing about the subject matter as a whole is that it
Hmm.
actually ties into the UK. You see, in the UK during the week, the subject of voter ID was trending.
Hmm.
And the reason why is because voters will need to, in the United Kingdom, show an approved form of photographic identification before they can collect their ballot paper to vote in a polling station. And
Incredible.
this is in an elections bill that MPs are backed. Now, Labour firmly take the stance that it will cut the turnout, believing that voter ID would prevent people from voting. And that would then,
Uh-huh.
in turn, be considered voter suppression, and that at stake would be the very integrity of the elections. ID to him,
Okay.
and some MPs believe that voter ID is an old, cynical trick, and well, the other way of phrasing it is insert an administrative hurdle. So you dress it up as improving security, and watch then the voter turnout go down, which then in turn protects those in power. But the thing is, every government will introduce something like this for integrity's sake. In the
Hmm.
UK, when it comes to election integrity, I think at the last general election, we only had 10 ballots that were a bit questionable. Or was it? No, no, it was 10 fraudulent ballots. Or not even that, I don't think. So the argument counter to that is surely we don't need it. I firmly
Hmm.
believe that, well, we may as well have it now because eventually someone's going to do it. Also,
Well,
I don't really see
also,
an
there's
issue.
no reason not to. The fact that Labor make the statement, "Oh, if you require voter ID, if you require a photo ID, then it will cut voter turnout." You have to ask the question, okay, why would you say that? Um, a lot of the excuses that people will make is that they'll say, "Oh, well, not everybody has ID.
Yeah.
There are people who live in low income who
Well,
do not
yeah.
have ID." I will ask you, do you know of anybody who is low income who is either not somebody who has purchased alcohol in the past or
Mhm.
has not in the past purchased cigarettes? Because every low income person I know who I personally work with, they do one of those two things.
Yeah. I have family that smoke, but they have all got their hands on ID at some point. A passport is the more obvious.
Hmm.
Um, there was a thing where Labour had tried to remove the voter ID section of the election bill because they believed the bill was full of solutions searching for problems and that they weren't given ample time to properly debate the bill, which is important. I fully agree that things shouldn't be rammed through. Um,
Hmm.
so it because it was put through expedited through Parliament, it does look like it's been pushed through quickly, so no one can question it. But Labour
Of
had
course.
tried to remove this voter ID section, and it was rejected by a majority of 93 votes. So the full vote
Out of
was,
how many?
well, there were 327 votes that were against them at their
Okay,
234. So that's most of
got it.
Parliament, in fact. Hang on, let me think about it. 93. That's, if not, actually, that's pretty much all of them.
Okay.
Pretty much all of them voted, and yeah, no, they disagree by majority. Um,
Can't say I blame them, to be honest.
well, interestingly, I saw a tweet from Helen the Zen. Do not go follow them or hassle them. Well, no, you can follow them if you want. You will need to show voter ID at a UK general election, but not for Scottish or Welsh government elections, because neither of those nations are run by actual fascists. Just let me point out. Um, you need to show voter ID at a UK general election, so the government that rules all four of those countries anyway, but not for Scottish or Welsh government elections. You mean those devolved administrations that have limited powers? I wonder why you don't need ID for something that's limited. I wonder.
I
It's nothing
beats
really.
me, man.
Yeah, it's not really.
Beats me.
It's just tied into Tariq Nasheed's thing, and I found it
Yeah,
quite fascinating,
but
really, that we have voter
he's
ID
right.
being put in the country here, and I agree with it. I have,
Right. That's the craziest part.
uh,
That you
I,
agree with Tariq Nasheed.
yeah, it's strange. Just if you were in the YouTube chat and you agree with Tariq Nasheed about voter ID, along with smashing the like because there aren't enough of those yet. Please consider pressing 1 in the chat if you agree with Tariq Nasheed when he said, "Where's the tweet? Not that. Oh, I've lost. No, I haven't. It's on the wrong tab. When he said non-citizens should not be able to vote in the US. Do let me and Trups know. Um,
Absolutely.
I am intrigued to see. So the bill for just to finish on the election bill, it does have one more hurdle of sorts, and that is the House of Lords. But it is likely they're gonna side with the government on this because with this kind of thing they would. They're not there to scrutinize. They are there to scrutinize, but not on that kind of level. They're gonna normally side with it
Hmm.
because they don't generally they're not in touch with the young and hip people who don't have voter ID. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I guess that might be a type of person. Actually, thinking about that, like it might be that like young people who like don't drive don't have like a reason to get ID, but the moment that they want to go buy a drink and they're like, "Oh, I need an ID," then they'll just go
yeah.
and get a resident
Well,
ID.
yeah. Fingers crossed. Then we get some progress on that one. It's intriguing that Twitter spurred the f out about it. No lie, I saw so many tweets just calling the UK government fascists for this policy alone.
Does it really surprise you though? Because
No,
in
it
my opinion,
doesn't.
that tracks pretty well, especially when you think of like how the U.S. is doing
Hmm.
with their voting bills,
Yeah,
of course.
it's interesting. Very
Mhm.
interesting. Okay, so
Now, I actually do have a story that kind of plays off that, if
oh,
you'll
go
let
on,
me.
tell the story.
Um, oh yes. So this what was it yesterday? Yesterday or the day before? Joe Biden had a press conference.
Oh dear God.
Yes, yes. And one of the things, there are many things that he said that made a lot of people question what the fuck was going on through Mr. Biden's head. But none quite as interesting and as exciting um as when he said that without the voter ID or the voting rights bill that we talked about last week, where Manchin and Cinema basically said, no, you're not allowed to do this, and we're not going to break the filibuster just for you. Um, he said if that doesn't get passed, then the midterms in 2022 may very well be illegitimate.
So just before you
Joe
continue
Biden
that,
said
doozy, before we started, I found an article from the Guardian, so very left leaning, and its
that.
title is "Biden's administration is in shambles. It's not entirely his fault," and it starts by
Uh-huh.
talking about Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema. Do continue.
well, well, in case you're ever wondering what do Democrats think of Cinema and Mansion?
Mm,
Yes,
jogging, jogging.
quite always. But of course, looking at that, you would be remiss if you wouldn't start thinking, well, hold on a minute. If the bill has not been passed, and of course it was never passed in the before now. I almost said passed in the past. And the previous elections just happened. Does that then mean that Joe Biden has admitted that the 2020 election might have been sketchy?
Look, I don't want to. I don't want to start conspiracy theories on this channel. So
He said that. He
when it
said
when it
it.
comes to the election and then the inauguration of the 46th president of the United States, Joe Brandon, we take things on this channel very seriously.
Hmm.
Please continue.
Yes. Just so that I can get this perfectly correct. The statement that he made was that the 2022 elections may be uh, illegitimate. And one of the offhanded comments that he made that seemingly had no business being said was, could you have imagined if Trump had convinced Pence to not accept the votes? Paraphrased, but that. And everyone kind of went, what do you mean? Or what are you insinuating? So yeah, that question came up too. It's like, wait, hold on. It's not just like, hey, did you maybe accidentally say that your election might have been illegitimate? No, he directly made a comment at directly that comment at directly that topic, saying, I'm not saying it didn't, but
To be fair, when it comes to how well he did in that press conference, I'm going to read a title from
huh?
another article for you.
Okay.
Biden's dangerous, incoherent ramblings about the threat of war between Russia and the Ukraine show that his mental decline may have disastrous consequences for America and the world. Your president is a moron.
I know. I didn't vote for him. I voted for the other guy, the one who laughingly said, "Hey, funny that Biden agrees with me.
Yeah. So, let's see. But all right. So, Biden had to do a little presser thing. Well, reading from a script, pretending that the press conference didn't happen. And he said, "Well, let me start by first getting a few words about Russia and Ukraine. I've been absolutely clear with President Putin. He has no misunderstanding. If any assembled Russian units move across the Ukraine border, that is an invasion." Whereas previously, I don't think he quite said that. No,
No, I
no,
don't think so.
no, no, no. Biden is losing his freaking marbles.
Oh, he lost them already.
So,
Obama took them.
different ones. Yeah, has only stopped them sniffing kids.
True.
Do you think that
You're
that any
giggling at your own joke there, yeah?
a little bit with anything that Biden's been currently saying, that perhaps this is going to bite him on the ass in the midterms? And bear in mind here, with what's currently happening concerning all his main policies he's trying to push through, like Jobs Act, the America Rescue Plan, the Build Back Better plan. None of these have resonated with the electorate, which is why he holds, and I'll quote it, the second lowest approval rating of any president at this point in their term. The record is still held by Donald Trump, who wasn't really given much of a chance in his first year at all. This guy's been given every chance. Every chance.
No, that's absolutely correct. Will that hurt him in his polls? It's already hurting him.
Yes.
He's already screwed. The people have already seen him for what he is at this point. Like, within the last couple of months, Democrats, mainstream Democrats, have started to notice problems with Biden and the things that he's trying to do and the things he says. People are starting to pay attention a little bit more, which is truly unfortunate for him.
I mean, it's taken 365 days, but it's about
Oh,
bloody
I
time
know.
he was held to the same standards as everyone else, and he's still
No,
not.
don't say that. He had such negative reporting, man.
Oh, hang on, hang on.
Even worse than Trump.
I've got the tweet for that. Quips and fits.
Yeah.
I don't recall Trump being grilled by the media like Biden is during this press conference.
No, you don't remember? Fuck me, I do.
It's one of the best jokes I've heard all day, and it came from my mouth. It's just
saying something,
yeah, right? It's just tragic when people are so. To be fair, I'll give me a bit more shit though, because they've written, "I don't recall Trump being grilled by the media like Biden." They've done Biden's name in a capital and Trump's all in lowercase. The disrespect was there. All right.
Oh, of course.
The grammar is correct.
Of course it was.
Except for the capitalized.
They hate him, dude.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but when we on this channel with the streams we've done for years since his inauguration, we've been doing this for a while. He got so much shit day in and day out, and we covered it because it was continuous. It was hilarious. He did make a couple minor faux pas, and we did address it. But generally, like, my favorite one was still the fish feeding.
Oh yeah, that was so stupid, dude.
Literally, the guy next to him, whoever the leader was, I can't remember his name.
It was the emperor of
Japan.
Japan. Yeah. It was not the emperor, the fucking president.
He did the fish thing. He fed all the fish as well with everything. So come on, but Trump just copied him. All right, but Trump was trying to kill the fish. He's a murderer.
Yeah,
impeach him
absolutely
again.
I think they actually did try. I think they did file articles that didn't go anywhere regarding that incident.
I'll be honest, if the others didn't work out, I'm sure they would have fallen back on that. That's
honestly,
their go-to.
None of them worked out.
I feel so sorry for them. Ish.
I don't. They're still trying, by the way. They're still trying to hold him like to a quote-unquote like accountability. But the accountability that they're trying to hold
New York are trying it now, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they're also trying to like subpoena all of his his communications with people from January 6th. which is really weird.
Mm.
Because again, the FBI, who we know doesn't like Trump, has already said, yeah, no, he wasn't a part of this issue.
They'll ignore it because they find one comment with the word "fight" in it, and that's it. It's over
Oh, I
in their
know.
heads.
Oh, absolutely.
Just
That's because they're crazy. That's
oh
just
well.
what it comes down to. They're nuts.
So in the article I've been referencing for Biden here, there is something that's caught my attention. So I'd like to if play a little game with you. If you were to describe Biden's withdrawal from Afghanistan, what one word would you use to describe it?
Sloppy.
Okay. Any other
Or
words?
rushed.
Give me,
Rushed.
give me another one.
Um, un. I was gonna say unplanned, but it was planned just poorly.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Any others?
uh, fucking
Sorry.
a disgrace.
So I couldn't help but
uh,
notice that not one of those words was the word used in this article to describe it. Um,
oh,
they referred to the withdrawal from Afghanistan as courageous.
it was
Biden's
planned for like a
Biden's
year.
courageous withdrawal from Afghanistan, a kept promise even the president's harshest critics on the left were willing to give him credit for. They all gave him credit for it because he's the right
Sure.
president.
I mean, you can give him credit. That part's fine. Like you can say that he did okay. Like that has never been the question.
Eh,
The question has always been like you had the plan, right, in place. You had the plan in place and you went to go and do the thing. Cool.
so
Awesome. That was the goal in mind always.
mhm. There is a bit more to that sentence. So the full sentence without these hyphens is Biden's courageous withdrawal from Afghanistan has been marred by economic sanctions that have left 23 million Afghans without enough to eat, and the media is already itching to blame Biden for a Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Uh-huh.
It's very how do you put it when you know your president's a bitch and he is to blame for some things but not quite at the same time? How do you just tough one. I don't think it's his fault for
Um
the Russian thing. The Russia thing's been building up for a
lame
while.
duck.
Well, I did say he was a lame duck. He could be a lame duck president if you can't
I mean, he
accomplish
still
anything.
is that.
If you can't get any of your flagship policies through, you can't get them actually signed and sealed. You are a lame duck. So what are you doing there? Oh, that's right. You're wasting time.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
absolutely that.
Right,
Um
right president to run away. That's a fair point, Chaos. A fair point. Don't know if Biden can run. Last time I saw him try, it was up a pair of stairs and he slipped over 4 to 5 times.
oh, poor guy.
You
I do feel
idiots.
bad for him because I don't want people to get hurt. That's like
We
that's dark
well,
even for
the
me.
carpet does look very thick. We did have a good laugh about that, but at the same time, the view is why is he not at home? At home
Yeah, well,
resting.
I keep saying that, like, and I'm going to keep saying that because the guy literally does not deserve this. He should be home.
He should be. I 100% agree with you.
Um. Oh well, I guess. Um.
So
But
apparently, according
no.
to polls, voters blame Biden for inflation,
Okay.
inattention to the economy, um,
True.
but at the same time, to explain that, elevated inflation has been a global phenomenon, um,
Sure.
and um, and one of the proximate causes has been the strength of an economic recovery boosted by the American Rescue Plan. Was that the one that mostly gave money
I'm
to
sorry.
everyone but the people?
Say those words one more time.
Sure. One of the proximate causes of this global phenomenon, i.e., elevated inflation, has been the strength of an economic recovery boosted by the American Rescue Plan.
So, the economic problems that the
Yep.
world is facing
Yep.
has been boosted by the the jobs plan.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just I wanted to make sure that those words, if I cut out all the middle parts, like where commas would go, you know how like sentence structure would work.
I'm
If it
gonna
really
link to
meant
the
what I
article so
thought
you
it
can have a laugh
meant.
at it.
In a home, maybe, Chaos says in chat. Maybe.
I mean, I'm with
You
you
could
on
probably
that one.
you could probably have a live-in nurse or somebody who comes by every day and changes his diaper. Um, that's not it's not out of the realm possibility. Um, but yeah, no, the rescue plan. Like, I don't know if you recall, I've made the comment I think once or twice, but our money, our M2 money stock,
Mm-hmm.
um, that has shot up. Like in the last 2 years, I think the number is somewhere between 60 and 75% of all currency currently in circulation has been printed in the last year.
Really?
All of it. Yep. And the amount of dollar bills that are around is realistically not reflecting the actual worth of these dollars, because of course
Oh,
what you actually have is you have lucrative and reckless spending by Congress with money that we don't have on credit that we don't have, um, and they're still trying to pass things like that Build Back Better plan, the infrastructure bill, which I'm pretty sure had like a lesser variation pass through, but I have not checked up on that in a while. But even still, that had a price tag of like a trillion.
is that a loss in your economy?
That's insane. It
Just to be clear, I just wanted to put it
like
out there.
absolutely like we used to like gawk at several billion.
Yeah.
Like when people found out like that our military budget is somewhere in like the tens to hundreds of billions. They're like, "Oh my god, we spend so much money on war. We could spend it on other things like education." And I go, you understand that like we spend it all on war, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, but
Yeah.
realistically that's paying a lot of defense contractors and a lot of like Joe Schmo at like
See,
Boeing.
so you mentioned the whole printing money and the value inflating.
Mhm.
I think in this country, when when we had an economic crisis in 2007,
Mhm.
8, 9, I don't know, one of those years, towards the end of um, towards the end of Tony Blair's time. Well, actually, just as it happened, he went, which is unsurprising. So he looked like he had a good time. Um, Gordon Brown, he tried his best. Give him credit. He's one of the more liked ex-prime ministers, but he was the Chancellor of the Exchequer for 10 years with Tony. When he
Mhm.
took over, he tried a process called quantitative easing, which is where you print money that we don't have to get people to spend that money. Boost the economy
Yeah.
by spending, which is what is you're describing to me. And
That was effectively the stimulus bill, if I
and
remember correctly.
just in case you guys thought I mean, this might be the case where your politicians just think you're better. But I'll tell you how ours worked out. Ready?
It fucking didn't!
It just
Thought
made
so.
things worse. It just made things worse. It
No,
got worse.
absolutely it does. Because you can't just
Do you know what people
like
did with that money?
create
They withdrew
well,
it and put it under their mattresses.
well, some people did, yeah. Um,
Oh,
Unfortunately, when they gave us the last stimulus check, so about a year ago,
yeah.
that when people had gotten that, a lot of people put their money into stock markets,
Stonks.
and then made the GameStop thing happen,
Stonks.
which pissed off a lot of other people who were
That was
trying to make money.
For those who don't follow us on Spotify, that was our very first stream from this channel that went on to Spotify called Reddit Loves Stonks. It's our
Yeah.
second most popular stream there,
Oh,
behind
good.
the
I'm
Derek
glad.
Chauvin thing. Yeah,
Well, I'm certainly
Stonks.
glad that people like stonks. Um,
I love Stonks.
I'm not happy with my stonks right now, but that's because shit's going poorly.
You know,
Um,
never going to always, anyone who bases their, society on endless growth is just is silly. But there'll be ups and downs and everything. It's fine.
Oh yeah, totally. What did I come into? Politics? Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Where
hello,
those
chat.
people were bad.
Hello, chat.
True. But actually, before we get into the other gaffes that Biden had made, so your prime minister might be trying to ingratiate himself with the people.
Hang on. In what way?
Removing all of the mandates.
Oh yes. So next Thursday, after PMQs on Wednesday, which I was going to do a stream of, but I still haven't got my new thumbnail for it because I'm going to do PMQs here again. But I've got a thumbnail template, an absolute banger of an idea. Hopefully, it'll turn out well.
Nice.
So afterwards, Prime Minister Boris Johnson made a speech, and in that speech, he had set out his intentions with regards to was it? I'm going to go with that so I can get the full list. So that the rules will change in in England will change next Thursday. So the more notable of which is the one I'm happy about, is that COVID passports and face coverings in public places will be dropped. That's great, because next Saturday I intend to go out for a day. Going to take a train, go to somewhere in London with a friend, and just enjoy the day.
Mm-hmm. As you should.
Yes, I don't get to do it
Well,
very
actually,
often.
it might be cold as fuck.
It'd be an indoor place. It's fine.
Okay.
So the full list is that so passports go. You'll no longer be advised to work from home and should discuss returning to work with employers. From Thursday, secondary school pupils will no longer have to wear face masks in classrooms, and government guidance on their use in communal areas would be removed shortly, which I think is good as well. I'm all in favour of people working together towards a common goal. I really am. But I think at this point, everyone has a Bill Gates chip in their arm. So can we just move on? That also might be a conspiracy theory on this channel. Disclaimer: it might be.
Sure. Why not?
Yes,
they are talking about that.
Yeah, they are indeed. I'm looking forward to this because I'm actually getting really. I don't like going into shops with masks on at the best of times. I could get an exemption because of my anxiety, but I don't want to. I know that Keir Starmer, the opposition, is going to back lifting these Plan B measures as long as the science says it's safe. Which I found fascinating about this is he agreed with the Prime Minister on all of this. He was on the Prime Minister's side.
That was surprising to me as well.
That's not why, though. It's surprising, not because the opposition he's paid to disagree. No, it surprised me because half an hour earlier he was asking for that same Prime Minister to resign because he didn't trust him. I was like, this looks really stupid. I was sat there working on a Karen video, and I'm sat here like, bitch, do you not see what you were doing in PMQs? Every one of you was like, Boris is like, wait for the report to come out next week. And they're all like,
motherfucker, just resign. You've betrayed us.
And I found that to be quite an odd like mix of I'll take your side now. No, I won't. No, get out of here. No, I'll take your side now. That kind of I don't get it. Maybe I'm too stupid. I know that infection levels are falling. They're above what they were last winter, but hospital admissions are also coming down, and hospital admissions have been quite low anyway with this, which is another reason why they're they're like, well, what's the point of this all being here? If they can bring the restrictions out sooner, great, because I want to go to some gigs and I want to go and have some fun. And I don't get to do that with this bollocks in place. I don't get to do that. And I know,
we're all in this together.
Shut the fuck up. I want to go and have some fun, all right?
I have a quick question for
Ask
Uncle
away.
Tom Cobley in the
Oh,
chat. He
right.
says, "I've worn one. No one says a thing." Um, do you find that it's easier to go about your daily life with a mask on if
Oh,
you don't compel
see,
other people to
see,
also
I
wear a
don't.
mask?
I should be clear. I don't really take issue if you want to wear a mask or not. I
Hmm.
just don't want to wear a mask. I will wear it because I have to, but I don't want to. I know there are some people I see on Twitter who say now, they've now gotten to the position where like, oh, it feels like it's normal now just to wear a mask everywhere I go. There was a thing a few years ago, and I noticed, and it was very few people who said this. I found this quite amusing because I got what they were trying to say. Where years ago people were very much anti, the religious covering stuff, whatever they're called, burqa, is that it? Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll just call them
because
headscarves
it
because they
obscured,
all have different names
yeah,
depending on where
it
they're from.
because it obscured the face. Um, and
Oh, those.
there's a ban in shopping centres or malls in the UK on hoodies because it obscures the face.
Okay.
But masks were seen okay, and the comparison someone made was, oh look, those religious people over there, they got their wish. Now I kind of got what they're trying to say, but it's a really shit point to make. Can you perhaps try and make it less racist and less, I don't know, religiously intolerant? That'd be fantastic. Just wanted to point it out. I remember. I wish I need to save one of those tweets. I'm going to find it.
Hmm.
I'm going to find one person who did that because I do remember it. It was.
Okay.
It's a really. It's just one of those weird things where face coverings or obscuring the face. But and in shopping centers, even though there's a medical, like there's a, you can air quote if you're not a believer, there's a scientific reason for wearing it, even though it's been massively debunked. This one seems okay. Yet at the same time, in the sense of security in a shopping center, it's not. Um, it, if anything, makes the security's job harder.
Well, the thing
Especially,
that I never understood with masks, right? So you tell me that I go into a restaurant, I need to wear a mask, okay? Until I sit down, right? Well, then I don't have to wear the mask anymore. Okay, so you telling me that the air around me when I walk through the front door is somehow now different
mm,
than the air surrounding my table. Now, airlines have had to kind of contend with this logic or lack thereof,
mm,
um, because I don't know if you saw the video, but there are plenty of videos. One in particular that I remember is a guy who got kicked off a Delta flight for lowering his mask, having a water bottle open in his hand, taking a drink of water. And a flight attendant comes up to him and tells him he needs to put his mask on. He goes, "But I'm literally drinking water." He goes, "Yeah, but if you're not drinking, you have to pull the mask back up." And the guy's like, "I'm sorry, what?" This does not make any sense. But Delta like doubled down on it, so oh well, I guess.
there's a thing in UK where you have to wear a mask in a restaurant until you are sat at a table, and then you can take it off. So to get to your spot, you have to wear a mask first, but then once you're sat, somehow you are deemed safe. The
Pure.
food isn't even in front of you. You've got to be served, of course, or wait for it to be delivered if you've used an app. I find these
Right.
very strange. I should, by the way, just point out, I'm not trying to make some really shitty comparison earlier with full face coverings, hoodies, and face masks. It's just, it was, I think the point the people who made that were trying to make is it's rather interesting what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. The hoodie being the one that's not acceptable.
Oh, absolutely. No, those conversations were had often. I remember when people said that, "Oh, you know, um, wear a mask and anything or, put anything over your face and it will do." And I just remember walking around with a
Face
half
masks.
balaclava
It's just,
on
it was, I
and
think,
going, we could go from complying with mask mandate to bank robber in like one pull.
yeah.
And I thought about that, and I thought about all the other people who I would see who would be wearing essentially ski masks through Walmart,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, if anybody wants to like rob any store right now, you'll never know what their face looks like.
I mean, if we got to the stage of retina scans being peak, then sure. But until then, you're going to struggle. And
Right.
I just don't want to be walking around a shopping center with a mask on all day.
Now, of course, California already knows what that's like,
Ruins my
and they
beard.
just decided to stop prosecuting it.
I mean, there are many things they're not prosecuting. Are they still saying it's not illegal to have sex with someone? Not tell someone you got HIV.
I believe that is it is no longer a felony to disclose whether or not you are HIV positive.
Best state
and
governor
knowingly
ever.
have sex. Oh yeah, and I think that might be Oregon, not I don't remember, but it's definitely one of those
That was
three
California,
states:
wasn't it?
Washington, Oregon, or California. Their policies track with each other, so it's possible, it's plausible that it's one of those. I could be wrong.
Oh yeah,
But
no,
either way,
California
it's
reduces
dumb.
the penalty for knowingly exposing someone to HIV. Saying it's a public health issue, not a criminal issue, said the state senator Scott Wiener.
I think it's definitely a criminal issue.
The governor signed it into law, so yeah, it was. Sorry, I had to be sure. You could have been right. It could have been Oregon, but I wanted.
They might have passed something else that was similar, so that might be where my confusion is coming.
Possibly. And you know what? It's absolutely reasonable to think that, to be honest. Considering what's going on right now, it's a mess.
Mm-hmm. But at the time, no, I was talking about like the fact that they wouldn't prosecute anybody for shoplifting under $900. So places like Walgreens, Target, pharmacies, all those places like had enormous amounts of looting happening, and they just couldn't do anything about it. And of course, no fucking Walgreens employee or Target employee is paid nearly enough to give a shit.
Just because I love the comment, it took me a second to realize who you were referring to. Bring back Arnold for governor.
Realistically, his policies were okay.
He had a bit of
a
it's difficult to be a governor in a state where the only one of the main ways you're going to be able to fix any problem is by raising tax, knowing that you're not going to do very well by having a policy that raises tax.
That is correct, but ironically, the policies that he employed were actually reasonable. Like they weren't the policies that people wanted, but they did have positive effects on California. And I think he served like a couple terms, no?
I don't know if he did 2, but I know he did 1.
Yeah, I think he might have done 2. Either way, though,
I still think he's awesome because his career was on the downwards anyway, and he wins an election to become governor. It was the highest office he'll ever get. So it was fantastic. True, and absolutely magical for me that an Austrian was in power again.
Yeah. No.
In a country they weren't born in.
That's the thing. Actually, believe it or not, you can in any office except, I believe, the presidency.
I believe it was 3 positions because you couldn't have a position too close to the
you can't be president, vice president, or I think speaker.
I remember looking at this years ago, and yeah, I think they were the 3 main ones. Because if you were too close, and there was a chance you would, the 25th would have to be enacted on you.
Right. So I mean, it's funny, but it's also like, whatever. But no, I wanted to bring up the whole comment about Boris and the vax mandates going down because I knew that was a questionable situation for many, because of course the issues that you were describing to me, I think it was last week or the week before, with him at a party with the woman with the lightsaber and him dancing and like weirdly grinding up on her, and it was so cringy and gross. But especially to kind of maybe pass the buck a bit, maybe get people to stop paying attention if everyone gets to go back to their fucking lives. Maybe something like that. Not the craziest thing, right?
I mean, it's not the craziest. I'm now going to go and find
boy.
out how long Arnold was in office.
Oh, okay. In
Arnold,
the meantime, do
Arnold
we
Schwarzenegger.
want do we want to talk about any topic that you do before we get into?
Oh, he did 2
Uh,
terms. 2003 to
yeah,
2011.
good,
That's 2 4. Yeah.
cool.
Nice. I'll take that.
All right, do you want to swing a
Okay.
topic?
Right, hang on. I'm going through my tabs. Boris has warned about the disaster if Russia invades Ukraine. Oh, we've actually slapped down Biden for greenlighting an attack with minor incursion. Yep.
Oh yeah, let's do that one. We
We'll,
could
we'll
do
do
that.
we'll do that in a second. Priti Patel, Twitter. Last night, Labour blocked the government from introducing new measures to stop Insulate Britain and XR, Extinction Rebellion, bringing our country to a standstill. Once again, Labour's actions are proving they are not on the side of the law-abiding majority, instead choosing to defend vandals and thugs. This is because Parliament blocked the bill that would then make it impossible to protest. Yeah. No. I do not agree with Priti Patel on this. Even if I don't care for Insulate Britain and Extinction Rebellion, the ability to protest is fundamental. Therefore, it is not about the side of law-abiding majority. It is instead choosing to defend one's right to protest. So,
Yeah, and that is a fundamental right, in fact.
absolutely, I 100% agree. In the UK, we've had to follow COVID laws for a while now, and it's doing my head in. And
Mhm.
I don't like these groups at all. Of course not. But they have a right to do it. And to deny them that right, or to revoke it in the manner you are trying to, is bad optics. But yeah, now let's move on to Boris Johnson, warning
Okay.
that it would be a disaster for the whole world if Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine's president, by the way, was the one that slapped down Joe Biden for greenlighting an invasion with minor incursion. Because Biden had said that a minor incursion by Russia might elicit a lesser response than a full-scale invasion. I mean, Crimea
I
was
mean,
one, wasn't it?
objectively speaking, yeah, usually.
So there is a picture on Twitter. You'll have seen it in the snow of an array
Oh, I saw
of
this.
tanks and vehicles. And what cracked me up the most were the memes of people that took the arrangement of the vehicles and spelled out "Let's go Brandon" with it, as if it was a giant middle finger for Biden. I mean, sorry, President Joe Brandon. And it's a fairly sizable car park. I'll give him that. I just want the
I
snow.
remember that. I love that picture, actually.
Well, because
Is it confirmed not correct? I thought it was actually Russia being a dick.
so I don't know. I think the I've got the original image just shows the vehicles parked up in lines. Very
Uh-huh.
uniform. It doesn't say "Let's go Brandon" unless "Let's go Brandon" is written in a language I don't know.
No,
But
not
if it
that.
did, that would be the biggest like Putin clearly kicking Biden in his very dusty balls. I love this. I cannot explain how much I love this image. I don't want to keep looking at it. It's just too sexual. But yeah. There are so in the city of Murom, so which is I believe so it's 260 kilometers east of Moscow, so nearer to Ukraine. Maybe
Mhm.
I don't know. Currently doing they're doing what you call Russian military drills in
Mhm.
some abandoned buildings, and of course looking very intimidate. Congratulations. While they prepare for whatever it is what they do. There is a risk, obviously, that Russia might do something here. There is a risk. Of course there is. But until they actually do something, why is anyone posturing? The moment they do something, we respond, of course. But until then, we shouldn't even be threatening. Should we? What do you think?
Um. Well, no, I don't. I don't think that. With I think we need to do something. We can't just like I mean, I guess we could just let them stare at each other from across the border,
Yeah. But you
but
could create a neutral zone of some kind, like in North and South Korea. No one
I
agrees to it.
guess, but I don't think it's going to matter,
No.
honestly. Because if they truly want to get into it with each other, they're just going to. Like the moment that Russia decides they want to pull the trigger on this situation, it's just gonna happen. And what to do about that after the fact? I mean, it's good to at least state what the intention is,
Yeah.
because it's not always just about like, oh, what are we going to do as the United States? It's also a matter of, hey, allies over there who are probably shitting themselves, don't worry,
Hmm.
we still got your back, I guess. Maybe less.
Yeah.
Because after the statement that Biden made, it kind of sounds like, yeah, maybe less.
Maybe a little bit less. It almost
Which I'm
sounds like
sure has.
it sounds almost unenthusiastic and unwilling to be a part of, which has me a tad concerned.
Yep. Now,
Um,
I kind of get it though, because like to be that guy, like if Russia were to invade the Ukraine,
mhm.
that's bad,
Oh, it is.
and
It's prime
NATO
farmland.
would
That's why they want
probably
it.
and NATO would probably have to do something about that.
They have to.
But why it has to be the United States of NATO, I don't
I
understand.
think the only reason why it is because of the original Ironclad Agreement.
Yeah, but we already fucked that.
Yes, but I think because of that, that's why you guys are being dragged in. Um, but also when it comes to Russia and incursions, generally people do turn to America. I don't think
Yeah.
we should, because Europe has a significant military in many countries, and we're more than happy to send those guinea pigs over there to deal with it. If they, for even a second, try to take Ukraine, it would end badly for them.
And that plus, like, I mean, it would be a lot faster if our other NATO allies were to be the swift response.
So Russia, for weeks, they've amassed tens of thousands of troops. The total is 50 battalions and 50 reserve troops, between 70 and 94,000, with an additional 81 to 100,000 in reserve, 1,200 tanks, 1,600 artillery, 330 aircraft, 240 helicopters, 75 ships and boats, 6 submarines, and the Kremlin has insisted this is merely a defense force. Against what? What are you defending against? So close. And I'm looking at a picture of the map here. This is so close to Ukraine, the Ukraine, and only Ukraine. I'm sorry, I know you've got one of the biggest militaries in the world, but that's a lot to be put on there, isn't it?
Especially on defense. Like, historically speaking, has Ukraine been the one to aggress on somebody else?
It's
Or
not.
has it been Russia?
It's not even that. It is solely because you like those lands that then became the Ukraine and the other nations after World War II, wasn't it? Or yeah, they became they're very very like good farmlands. I'll show you the map.
Oh, I believe it.
I'll put a picture on our server so you can see it. It's their deployment areas are right next to Ukraine. It's very sus, along with them having Russian occupied Crimea as well. Crimea I don't really care about, to be honest. If they want to be there, sure, they can go there, but Ukraine is Ukraine. That's not yours.
Well, Crimea was Ukraine too.
It is. But
But
sometimes
I
concessions
mean,
need to be made on this one. Just
I'm
to,
looking at this, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so why has Belarus allowed Russian troops
I don't
to?
know, actually. Yeah, I don't know
Because
why they've done that.
that's a lot of deployment areas. If I were playing a game of Civ, I would be horrified.
Oh, I'd be ruined by that. And this
I
is
would be
this.
I would be shitting myself if I
Well,
saw a deployment of,
it,
several thousand ready to invade on, let's see, north, east, and south of
yeah.
my
So
country.
if that's just a defense force, what are they defending against? The only thing of force
Fuck,
in
man.
Ukraine I know of are the Klitschko brothers, and they're just two boxers, all right. So I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think if Russia tried to take Ukraine, it would turn into an actual war. I know we've already started prepping to send troops over anyway.
Yeah, I know that we have been outright not saying anything out loud about what we're doing. Um, but I anticipate that there has been at least some motion to gather a force nearby.
Yeah. So I just want to address Pat O in the chat. European nations take you having a laugh. They couldn't agree on ordering a sandwich. I didn't say the European Union, because yes, I'd agree with that one.
Didn't they want an army too?
They did, and that was proven true by that proved Nigel Farage too, when he said before we left that that's what they would do. I mean, individual nations there do have militaries of their own, and if they want to intervene, they as a nation can intervene. But they will more than likely fall back on NATO because that's what it is. NATO would definitely be deployed. It'd be very interesting to see how big Putin's balls are at this point, I guess.
Well, the first group that I would imagine would have, stood up against Russia in that situation,
Yeah.
you'd think it would be Germany.
Well, their leaders,
but they don't have any balls.
They don't. No.
I understand why they don't have any balls. It wasn't too long ago that they got their ass kicked by Russians.
A
couple times.
I'm sure they don't like to be reminded of these things.
Yeah, well, maybe they should buck up.
2 World Wars and 1 World Cup, doodah. So, if you, as the title of the stream is Biden's first year in office, if you were to describe it with a sentence, what would it be?
The most popular president in U.S. history has a lower approval rating than a reality TV star.
So, I might rephrase that to the most popular...
A twice impeached reality TV star.
Most popular president in U.S. history, performing worse than the least popular president in U.S. history.
That works too.
I mean, he's underperforming. And you can blame Manchin and Cinema, but his flagship
at this point,
policy is dead.
At this point, can you even say that it is Manchin and Cinema making this happen? Because it sounds like to me that Manchin and Cinema are doing exactly what they were doing before this. So, they were still, moderate Democrats when Trump was in office. They're still moderate Democrats now that Joe Biden is in office. The fact that somebody is expecting, oh, you've got a D next to your name, that means that you're going to just sign on all the bills that the D president, wants you to. No, that's not how this fucking works. I wasn't elected by the president. I was elected by West Virginia or Alaska or whatever the fuck. And those are the people that I have to listen to and worry about re-electing me, not the Democratic National Convention. So, I mean, Biden's policies, the ones that really fail, why he himself, his first year in office is so bad, is because of the policies that he is pushing. Whether that be the Build Back Better plan, whether that be the jobs bill, whether it be the executive order to stop all construction on a southern border fence, whether that be to try to push for Supreme Court expansion, whether that be neglecting every crisis that has gone his way, and not only that, refusing to answer questions by the vast majority of media personalities. I mean, this president isn't presidenting. He's not being the president.
So how do you think the next year's going to go, since you've got the midterms coming up as well?
So that's a good question. We're gonna see probably this year. We be prepared to see some of the dirtiest politics from this country that you have seen since a journalist called Thomas Jefferson's uh, a essentially a hermaphrodite.
Wait, what?
Oh, so there is a quote from a journalist. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the exact quote. Oh, sorry. It was at John Adams. Okay, so it was written by a guy named James Callender. He was a partisan newspaper editor, and the quote is as follows: "Men of Virginia, pause and ponder upon those instructive ciphers and these incontestable facts. You will then judge for yourselves on the point of an American navy. You will judge without regard to the prattle of a president, the prattle of that strange compound of ignorance and ferocity, of deceit and weakness, without regard to that hideous hermaphroditical character which has neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman."
Right.
That was at John Adams.
Huh. That's interesting.
So that's gonna happen. Probably. You'll see dirtier politics than that. I assure you.
I can't wait to cover the midterms.
Oh yes, absolutely. Theoretically, the ads should start flowing here in the next month or two. We should start seeing a bunch of ads for people who are primarying,
Hmm.
and things of that nature.
They're going to
So,
be so cringy. It's going to be
oh,
glorious.
absolutely. Hey, if Beto O'Rourke's gonna come and ride out on another fucking skateboard, let him do what he's gonna do.
Go Beto. I don't know. Isn't he going to be running
Uh,
for governor or something in
I
Texas?
have no idea. Right now, he's technically in the cabinet. I think. I think Beto. Yeah, Beto's in Biden's cabinet. So, but he'll probably be running for president. Um, yeah, that's the other thing. Odd thing that's gonna eventually happen. A couple of years from now, you probably are gonna see people from Biden's cabinet run against him,
Hmm.
which is going to be interesting.
So that doesn't happen very often, does it?
Not that I can recall. It sounds a lot like it shouldn't happen. That sounds like things that on the level of things that should happen, it's one of the things that shouldn't.
What a positive way of putting it.
I don't know, but it's definitely going to make it look like, hey, are you on my side or not? And the answer is no. No one's on your side, dude.
Fair enough. Okay.
That's where my brain goes.
So I think we've reached the end of this stream because I don't know if there's anything
Yes,
else
we
we can
have.
talk about.
Not quite yet. Well, probably in a week or so, I would say.
Woot. This should be fun then. Is there anything you'd like to show before we finish?
Not quite yet. We're still in the process of getting all the streaming stuff up, and obviously I haven't put out a video in a while, but I will be working towards that.
Okay. I have nothing. Oh, no, I'll promise something. I will be streaming on Twitch tomorrow. Good luck finding me. I'll probably be streaming 7 Days to Die for a few hours. If you're interested in watching me and a few others bumble our way around Navis game, whatever.
In-
Find me. Yeah, sure. if that's all, do consider following us on Spotify. It's linked down below. It's also on the channel homepage as well. We should be back in next week unless Trups isn't here.
I should be here.
Sweet. Next week then. Thank you all for
All right.
joining. Do smash the like on the way out, and we'll see you next week. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.